Welcome to the program. Thank you very much for being with us. Mr. Castello, you're going to be running the show.
Thank you very much, Francisque and Judy. Appreciate you, to everybody around the world watching on EPARTRADE and racer.com and on YouTube. Hello and welcome. We are joined by the CEO of the Music City Grand Prix, Jason Rittenberry, who I know for many years. Excited about this. And also, Jason, this is my final seminar of Industry Week. So it's like happy hour for me. So, forgive me if I have too much fun, but I just think, go ahead.
I was going to say it is 4:30 your time on a Friday afternoon. So it technically is happy hour already.
That is true. That is true. But I'll try to hold it together, everybody. And if you got a question for Jason, by all means, put it in the chat section and we'll hit him with it, because he's done so many things. First of all, Jason, I would love for you to give your rapid fire, where you started, where you were, and how you got to where you are now. Because like right off the top of my head, you've worked at some grassroots facilities and elevated up to some of the best facilities on the planet, and now are the CEO of the Music City Grand Prix, which was perhaps the biggest motorsports success of the year. But tell us how you got started.
Absolutely. Give you a very quick tour of my career. So I started in the business actually 21 years ago. So at March of 2000 in Memphis at the Memphis Motorsports Park, where we hosted NASCAR events, NHRA national events, but also had, as you mentioned, grassroots. We had a dirt track as well as a road course. So spent 10 years with that company. It was owned by Dover Motorsports. So a great 10-year run with them. Moved from there down to your neck of the woods, Joe, in Palm Beach, Florida, where I joined as the CEO of Palm Beach International Raceway. And very shortly after getting there, we started expanding that company. And I went on what I like to say is a 4-year spending spree, buying up racetracks and sanctioning bodies and all kinds of things across the country. And we ended up selling that to private equity in 2015. When we sold it, we had 11 different companies that we had all rolled up to what is now, well, what then was IRG, International Raceway Group, Sports Entertainment. We sold that and then moved on from there, moved back to Nashville, and then shortly after went to Circuit of the Americas, the US Grand Prix and Formula One. Spent 2 years there running that venue, as well as the amphitheater, Austin 360. From there, I was there a couple of years and moved back here to Nashville to start working on this IndyCar race. And this has been a 5-year, believe it or not, work in progress to get this race done here in Nashville to make this happen. And love that you say maybe one of the most successful events of 2020, first year events. We like to feel that way internally as well, but we've heard a lot of people share that same sentiment. We're very proud of that. But it took us 5 long years, but we got to there, got to the event and made it happen. And, I feel like it was a fairly successful first year event and was absolutely a good time by all here in Nashville.
Excellent. No, well, I'm not just saying that because, we've worked together in the past. I'm saying that because that's what everybody says. It's very rare that there is near uniform press for any event, especially in the first year. And frankly, I think Nashville is a bit of the star. This is a city that's got some buzz right now as one of the hippest places in the world, let alone in the United States of America. Before we go any further, though, I have to know where you are. Where are you? I see chassis.
Yes.
What is this?
I am at Scott Borchetta's Big Machine Racing Shop here in Nashville. So I was told that we wanted a cool background for, and instead of putting something digital up, I thought I would just come over to the race shop instead of, a shot at the stadium of the street course with no racing on it. Thought the race shop would be a great location. So we have a little bit of everything here in this race shop. Some Trans Am cars, some SVRA cars, some Corvettes, some vintage. Scott has a little bit of everything. Some vintage Indy cars around the corner. So I just thought it would be a great spot to come and do the broadcast today.
No, great job. And he's a serial entrepreneur as well, right? Like Big Machine, the sponsor of the Grand Prix, but they're involved in multiple facets, and I can think of some synergies that happen with drag racing. There's spirits. What's it like being involved with Scott?
Absolutely. Scott is absolutely a serial entrepreneur, but huge supporter of our event. Not only is he an investor in our event and helped us get it started, but also our title sponsor. So it is the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. And you're right, he has multiple brands here. He has the Big Machine Label Group, which is their primary brand, but also he has the Big Machine Distillery, Big Machine Vodka, the Big Machine Racing team, which now has an Xfinity team in the NASCAR series, as well as a couple Trans Am teams, some vintage SVRA teams, and as well as 2 distilleries and bars and restaurants here locally in Nashville. So he has got a ton going under that Big Machine brand.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so let's talk about some of the challenges, though. To go from nothing to something always takes a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of stress, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Get us up to speed on, as best as you can in the time we have allotted, on how this success happened. I'm sure a lot of local government, are they all going to just go along with this idea? Yeah, we got a great idea. That doesn't always happen. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I wish it had been that easy, but in the end, it did end up being that easy. We went through, honestly, here in Nashville, we went through 4 mayors in 3 years. So we had to restart and start the conversations all over again 4 times in a 3-year period, which was probably one of the toughest parts of getting this race finalized and getting it on board. The IndyCar schedule was just getting local government's involvement and getting them to finally approve it. All the mayors were on board with it. They all supported it, and they all felt like it was going to be great for Nashville, great economic impact for the city, drive hotel rooms, drive tourism dollars, which it did. It was just a matter of getting there and getting to that point and making sure that we met all the requirements that the city was asking for, and all the stakeholders really were asking for. But not only the city, our other big partner in this was Nissan Stadium and the Tennessee Titans. We could not have done this race without them. It would not have happened without the property and the stadium, the assets that they brought to the table. I mean, they allowed us to dig their main parking lot up in front of their building and put a pit lane in permanently. And so a lot of things had to happen to make this event, but those are the top 2, is getting the city on board, as well as the Convention and Visitors Corp here, and then the Nissan Stadium and Tennessee Titans team. Getting those 2 entities on board was crucial to making this happen. And like I said, that took 5 years to get us to this point.
And it's interesting, an analogy, something similar is happening at Hard Rock Stadium, which is right down the street from our studios here in South Florida. As we get ready for Formula One in Miami, they're using the NFL parking lot, the stadium. They're doing a pit road, just the same thing. I can't help but wonder if what you guys did in many ways gave a direction, showed a way, and sparked some obviously, like, hey, this is possible. Let's try to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, we haven't had any direct conversations with them, but there are a lot of the same people involved. Tony Kottman being involved with both of those projects as far as track design standpoint. So, I would say that they probably learned a little from us, as we learned a little from, Long Beach or Toronto or St. Pete.
Let's see. Judy says super cool background, Jason. And I'll be talking to you about Judy a little bit later. And Paul says, so amazing how the Music City Grand Prix looked earlier this year, and how similar the Jeddah F1 track looks, except for some extra curves. But you're getting like uniform praise on this. But you came out of the box strong. What about the local community? Did they know what they were getting involved in? Was there, Nashville, I'm sure there's some motorsports there already, but IndyCar, I don't know. What was the response you got from like the bars and the restaurants and the people who, this nightlife and live music?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get them involved?
Well, I think a lot of that started with the relationship. So a lot of us that are involved with the event and our partners, and we all have those relationships here in Nashville, and it all boils down to relationships at the end of the day. I think if there was someone from out of town coming in trying to promote this race or this event in Nashville and tried to get the local community involved, it probably would not have gone as smooth. But we, the group of us have a ton of relationships, and so we were able to to fill them in and let them know what this was all about. And so they knew a lot about it even before we'd even announced it. Most all the large players in town, and from a bar and restaurant and entertainment perspective, they were all involved with the event in some way, shape, or form, and had known about it months before it was announced publicly. Those were a group, again, more stakeholders that we needed to get on board initially. We didn't want them, fighting against us or even asking a lot of questions after the fact, after it was announced. I mean, we heard a lot of people even outside the city say, "Oh, are you going to race down Broadway?" Absolutely not. No, we're not racing down Broadway. It's the busiest street in the city, and for all, there's 40,000 tourists there at night. So no, we're not looking to close the bars and restaurants along Broadway to race down the middle of Broadway. We want to use Broadway, and that, supplements our event and provides us with a built-in nightlife and entertainment and things to do after hours. And so we felt like Broadway was the last place we wanted to race. And so we looked to design a course that had the least amount of interruption to business. And so all those things that we did on the front end allowed the local community to really get on board and support this and get behind it from day one, to support not only the event coming, but the street closures and all of the things that come along with that. We got very little pushback from businesses here about closing streets for 4 or 5 days, or putting barriers up 2 weeks before the event around the city. I mean, it's a lot went into this. And as you know, with COVID last year, we had a very short time period to plan all this. To go from nothing to a full event in 11 months was crazy. We had hoped to have 18 months. We were planning to announce this in March. It didn't happen until September. So we had from September 15th to August 5th to have everything from literally no plans and not a single plan on paper to developing a plan, signing sanction agreements, designing a course, building blocks. And we built everything. That's something that, a lot of people may or may not know, but we built everything that you saw at our facility from a track standpoint. All the concrete barriers, all of the fence, all the tire barriers, all of those things we built. We own that. We have it here in Nashville. It's available. We can put that on a truck or a train and take it to another city right now. But it was a lot of work, but we were very fortunate to have the local community on board, as well as the city and the metro government and the state.
All right, let's look forward. We got a couple of questions from some folks out there. The first one was a hit, but now you set the bar and people are going to want to go, right? Like I can already think. In fact, this is where I try to work you for tickets for Judy and myself, because Judy, we want to come. We want to come out there. We want to be in the Jason Rittenberry box for this event at some point in the future. Are we in?
You're in. Come on. August 5 through 7. You're here.
There it is. There it is. All right. So Collie wants to know, is your agreement to have the same support series for future Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, like Trans Am, Super Trucks, et cetera? So how does that work, and how do you want it to work, and what lies ahead?
Well, I think for year one, we honestly had not planned to have that much on-track activity. It just kind of happened the way it did. We initially planned to have IndyCar and one sports car series, and possibly something along the entertainment lines of Super Trucks. And so we started down that route, and then Scott came on board, and Scott's actually a huge supporter and a racer in the Trans Am series. And so we felt like that was a good series to add. And then Vintage approached us, and we heard from a lot of fans that wanted to see Vintage. They don't run a lot of events each year, and they really wanted to see those cars. And so with an inaugural event, we ended up adding Vintage as well. So the full lineup of on-track activity was pretty spectacular, from IndyCar to SRO, GT America, to the Trans Am series, Super Trucks, and Vintage. And so moving forward, at least for year two, I can't speak past year two at this point, but for year two, our plan is to keep all of those same series on track, and we'll continue with those same series for 2022.
Excellent. All right, this next question from Kevin, and it's a little, I can see where this is going already, but I'm going to hit it with you. Hit you with it. It's here's the deal. Jason, can you please address some of the significant issues you encountered with this year's event, such as incomplete spectator grandstands, oversold hospitality venues, i.e. the East Side Club? And can you discuss why spectator access was limited compared to other IndyCar events? And so I don't know if the answer is right, but I'm going to answer for you. hey, first year event. That's my assessment, but please address Kevin's concerns.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. I can address each and every one of those. And you know, we've not tried to hide from any of those. We have addressed all of those immediately. There was one grandstand that did not get completed until Sunday. We absolutely did everything in our power. It was not us. It's not Jason and my staff out putting that grandstand up. Those are third-party vendors. You know, we had a contract. They had schedules. We had dates. They knew the date it had to be completed. With the labor issues that everyone in not even our industry, everyone in every industry is facing right now, they came up short on some labor. They did not get one grandstand finished. They had 11 to do in 7 days. It was a very tight schedule. There was very, very little room for error. It did happen. We could not get one finished, and I hated it. I stayed up all night Friday to try and get it finished. I was up Saturday night to get it finished. Doug Bowles, the president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, was out there Saturday night with me, sitting trying to push these guys to get this done. So, you know, everyone did everything in our power to make that happen, including bringing additional labor, finding additional labor for those guys. But at the end of the day, yes, it was a failure. Yes, it did not get completed, but there was not a lot we could do about it. I mean, we did everything in our power to make that happen. Now, after it did happen, we did our absolute very best to take care of every person that was sitting in those grandstands. Friday and Saturday, trying to relocate them to other areas. Sunday, that was sold out. There was nowhere to relocate them to, but their grandstand was open. So everyone in that grandstand received a full refund, all of their money back for Friday and Saturday as well. We're still allowed to attend the event. Yes, they did not have a grandstand seat, or not everyone had a grandstand seat, and I regret that that happened, and I hate that it happened. It, like you said, Joe, it was a first-year event. It was a vendor. That vendor's obviously been replaced. That vendor will not be back for year two. There was someone else building grandstands for year two. But we did everything that we knew in our power to make it right for those fans. We offered them additional seats. We refunded their money. We gave them credit vouchers for food and beverage on the Friday and Saturday of the event. So from a customer service standpoint, we did everything we could to take care of that. There was a little we could do to avoid that happening. Like I said, it was a third-party vendor. With regards to East Side Club and being oversold, yeah, that I will credit that to being a first-year event. We went with what the Titans use, being in their venue. We used their numbers on what East Side Club could hold. What we didn't take into account, as much as we probably should have, is everyone would be in there at the same time. We thought in our mind, and based on our, you know, everyone on our team and our experience in the industry, we felt that most of the people would not be in there all at one time. Some would be out in the paddock, some would be walking around, some would be in the fan zone, some would be in other areas, etc. But at sometimes there were everyone there at once, and it was crowded. Yes, we've reduced the capacity of East Club moving forward for next year. We've added which we haven't even announced yet, but we've added a grandstand for that East Club that's going to be on at the start finish line, right behind the flag stand. So those folks will have a grandstand to go down to if they don't have a great view inside the club. So all of those things, yes, they happened. It was a first-year event. There were learning opportunities for us. We've addressed them. We're doing everything we can to make them better moving forward into year two. And the last issue is, you know, I'll probably disagree with Kevin a little bit on this. It wasn't severely limited. There were 6,000 people in there in the IndyCar paddock. And so we could not open it up to the general public because at the time when our event was announced and our ticket sales were announced, IndyCar was not sure if the paddock was even going to be open or not. There were several events leading up to ours. The paddock was closed because of COVID. We weren't sure if we were going to have an open paddock or not. So we could not even put those on sale until 60 days prior to the event. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's not our paddock. We don't control it. We don't control the number of people that are in it. So we sell what we're able to sell and what IndyCar feels comfortable with. So, you know.
Good answer. Good.
We'll sell as much as we can.
Jason, good answer. Thank you for addressing it. Everything can't be positive, but you know, the glass is half full kind of deal. Like, you guys put on an amazing event in the first year. Of course, there's going to be some issues. There always is. But you addressed them, and I love what you did. So Stephen has a question about the track configuration, though. Like, did drivers give useful feedback? Will there be any reconfiguration to allow for more green flag racing?
Absolutely. Yes. Again, first year event is what happened there. I mean, it's what we designed the track. Tony Kottman designed the track in conjunction with IndyCar. The drivers were here. The drivers reviewed it. They drove in simulations all leading up to the event. And so it at the end of the day, I feel like some drivers got a little aggressive, and we're all, going to battle for that first year inaugural win in Nashville at a new event. That was exciting. So we did what we could with regards to the track. Tony Kottman is making some changes to it for next year, along with IndyCar, and they are we'll be moving the restarts, so there will be more green flag racing.
Excellent. Excellent. Sasha's out there. What can fans look forward to in 2022 with the Grand Prix? So, and this is where you tell everybody where they can get the tickets, Jason, right here. Just go into it. I think the buzz around the event speaks for itself. The city's got buzz. The event has got buzz. What about 2022, and how can we be there?
Absolutely. Everyone can be there. MusicCityGP.com. Tickets not available yet. Our renewals will be starting in early January, and then by mid-January, new tickets will be on sale. We are adding additional reserve grandstands for 22. We sold out of all 3-day reserve grandstands last year, so we're adding new grandstands for this year. There'll be 10 to 15% increase in reserve grandstand seats available. Look for some amazing concert announcements. I think that was, the one thing that we haven't touched on a lot, Joe, and I'll just say it very quickly is, our event was more about the event itself. It was not just about a race. The race was the reason that we had the event, but we tried to create an event that encompassed all of the city, that encompassed what Nashville is. Nashville knows how to throw a party, and that was our goal. That's what we tried to do, and I feel like we did that. There's some improvements we could make. There's some improvements we could make to the racing, and we're going to do all those things. But overall, at the end of the day, I think everyone that came here had a great time. The concerts were amazing. Broadway was great to add to the excitement of the event and provide entertainment every night. And so for 22, fans can expect that plus more, even more music, more concerts, bigger names, bigger acts, and tons of on-track racing excitement again.
Very good. Very well. You got me excited about the big musical acts in Nashville. I know you're going to have people that want to be involved in. I'm sure having a successful event makes it easier to book big acts because they know they're going to be associated with something positive.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, being in Nashville and first year event, a lot of the artists wanted to be involved with it. Unfortunately, timing for us, coming right out of COVID at that time, I say we hit the perfect time. There was a little bubble there that people thought COVID was over before it really kicked back in, and we fell right in that window. But unfortunately for us, that fell right in the window that all the artists went back out on tour. So while we had some big names, we had some great artists here. We had great concerts every night. There were some even bigger names that really wanted to be a part of it, but they were out on the road. They were touring. They already had shows booked for that weekend. And so now that we're far enough out that they know the date, they know when it is, they're putting it on their calendar. So a lot of the artists, the big name artists in Nashville, want to be a part of this event. They're adding it to their calendar, and we'll see a lot of them on stage August 5 through 7 next August 22.
Where does this fall? You've done a lot of things that I'm sure are pretty rewarding to you, but from something to nothing in 11 months and putting on a hit of an event, where does this fall?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is probably at the top of the list. It's pretty close. I mean, some of the things I've done in the past have been very rewarding, but most all of those were already in existence when I got there. So I was able to continue with them and hopefully improve them and make them better and grow them. But this one did not exist. And as you said, we went from nothing, not existing, no event at all to putting on, a hell of an event in 11 months. And everybody had a great time in downtown Nashville.
Lawrence says he'd love to see an IndyCar race in the Northeast. Your thoughts, please put it on your to-do list. What about that, Jason? Is this a package that you can bring to other locations?
Absolutely. And it's not out of the question for us down the road. We never know what the future is going to bring, but we do own everything to able to put on truck or put on a train, a rail car, and take the road on the show on the road. We have all the concrete blocks and barriers and catch fence and tire barriers and the pedestrian bridges and everything we need, literally, other than grandstands and suites, which, you know, we built here in Nashville, we can build in other cities. So who knows what the future will bring, but for right now, we're focused on Nashville and City Grand Prix and making this the best event we can and the improvements for 22.
And your general assessment of our larger motorsport community as someone who has been involved in literally all aspects now, touching Formula One, drag racing, sprint cars, Indy cars, stock cars. When you look at the greater landscape, how positive are you? What is your general attitude about what we're looking at in the future?
Well, I'm excited about the future. Like you said, I have been involved with a lot. I've seen a lot, and I think there's several areas that are on the rise. And I think IndyCar and open wheel racing is one of those. Formula One and their Netflix series has done a lot for us in the open wheel racing in America, whether it's Formula One or IndyCar or anything else. It is popular and it is becoming more mainstream now because of that show and because of that series. And so I think that's done a lot for us. We'll continue to ride the wave of that. And I'm very happy to be right where I am, right with the series that we have, and look forward to seeing the growth of open wheel racing in IndyCar, not only here in Nashville, but the entire series.
Well, and they are looking good as well. You got to have good drivers, right? Like you have to have good personalities that people want to root for. And I think IndyCar has that right now, and some interesting, characters, and the cars are cool and getting cooler. And those are all like little elements that make people want to watch.
Absolutely. And IndyCar has all of that. I think we've got a great mix of drivers right now. Looking forward to, see what comes down the road. And then in the future, there's a lot of drivers moving up into the IndyCar series, and looking forward to working with them in the future.
And Kevin, who asked the question about the Grand Prix, says, Jason, thank you very much for addressing my questions. You could have dodged that question, but you did not. I tried to be respectful. And he goes on to say thank you. He had a good time with him and his wife. And that's great. So thank you for addressing that.
Absolutely.
Positive and puff, and you attack that right head on, and I appreciate it. Jason, I see Francisque and Judy are back. Judy, he says
I just want to say I'm so proud of you for what you produced. I heard nothing but great, awesome. and especially in today's world, it's so upside down and there's so many unforeseen obstacles. Things go wrong no matter what in a normal year. So I'm thrilled for you.
Well, we had a few of those upside down obstacles, but I think we did our best to manage them and manage through them. And in the end of the day, our goal always was to put on a great event and take care of the fans. And that, as Kevin said, we never tried to dodge or hide from any of those issues. We addressed them all head on. We used them all as learning experiences, and every one of those we addressed not only immediately, but we've addressed multiple times since then, and looked at every way, shape, or form to improve the event, to make it better, and to hopefully put ourselves in a position to not have to be addressing those issues year two. There will be other issues that come up. It's an event. It's a temporary circuit. It's on the streets of a downtown. Everything is built temporary within a 10 to 14 day period. So issues are going to come up. It's going to happen, but it's how we manage them and how we take care of our fans. And that's our goal at the end of the day.
Well, I think you did a great job.
Thank you, Judy. We hope you and Joe really do make it here in August.
I'm putting it on my calendar.
Well, you did a hell of a job. And,
thanks, Jason.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank you very much, Jason. And
thank you all for having me.
The concept for EPARTRADE is basically, in my opinion, there's a big hole in the internet. So the internet started many years ago, but there's never been an online business community for racers on the World Wide Web. The need for EPARTRADE is actually quite obvious. Basically, people in the business of auto racing need a place online to hang out and get their problems solved.
It's extremely simple for a buyer or for a supplier to interact on the platform. The first thing you need to do is sign in, which is free. And the second thing is, when you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information. If it's a company, you click on request more information, and then from there, it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
You can go to EPARTRADE.com, you become part of a community of businesses in racing, and it makes sourcing products much easier than just on the internet or using Google.
At EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier through an email.
More than that, it's a place to go just to keep current every day. So it's a good place to start your workday in your racing business or in your offices of your professional race team. And you know you're current when it comes to new technology, industry news, technical papers, technical videos, all of that and more. We're not looking for a million hits per day. All we want is people who are really the volume buyers of racing products in the racing industry to be part of the little world of EPARTRADE. We have racing businesses participating from around the world. So you get suppliers from around the world, you get buyers from around the world.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
There are two types of people, racers and everyone else. Racer Magazine is for those who believe that racing is a way of life. Racer embodies the excellence that defines a sport driven by passion, courage, and ingenuity. Get 1 year of both Racer's print and digital edition for only $39 with instant access to our entire digital issue archive. Subscribe now at info.racer.com.